Welcome back to the Raptors show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, William Lou. Esfandiar, Baraheni. Was I mispronouncing your name this whole time or no? Tell me the truth.
Why? What'd you say? I don't even remember what you said.
Esfandiar, Baraheni.
No, you got it right.
Okay,
well, the last name you can enunciate it if you want to. Baraheni.
Baraheni.
There you go.
I just go with that.
Are you for real?
Yeah, S is the way to go.
Are you for real?
EB. I like EB.
It's pronounced Henny?
Yeah.
That's
Anything
hard.
is possible.
That's hard. Whoa.
If I had a rap name.
We had the Henny God in the building the whole time?
You know.
Wow. Yes, man. Last segment here, and we brought in Michael Grange.
Yes.
Who's wearing a turtleneck with no chain. All right.
The chain.
No, listen, Grange, a turtleneck.
There was never a
with
world that would wear a chain.
A turtleneck and a chain is a classic look. This is you have almost a perfect Toronto date night look. You're just missing a little silver chain. I don't want to go down this road.
I would either be made fun of. We said this off air. I would either be made fun of, or people would think I was making fun of people who wear the chain.
If you walked into the Raptors locker room tonight with the silver chain on in this outfit,
bust down.
What do you think the players would say?
I have children up the approximate age of professional basketball players, and they would laugh at me. So
okay, fair enough.
This is as far, and I do think I'm the first in-person turtleneck wearer.
You are.
Yeah, Alvin and Devlin.
I've
Maybe by Zoom.
always loved the turtleneck suit look. It's like I think it's even better than the shirt. You know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm not that big a fan. A little uncomfortable, but whatever.
It's hot.
Break it out once in a while.
Yeah.
So were you at practice yesterday?
I was. Yeah.
Did you get a slice?
Pizza.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, we did, and apparently Darko paid for it. We'll see. I bumped.
Did he deliver it? I need all the
details. He did not
details.
deliver it. No.
Okay.
So who brought it in?
The PR staff. They did. They
Okay.
did it was very nice the way they did it. And
all right.
They made it sound like there was a meeting, and Jen Quinn was looking all stern, and I was like, oh, okay, what's going on now? And they walked in with the pizza. So
Good pizza.
Maker's Pizzas.
Yeah,
it was
Maker
good.
Pizza,
It was good.
yeah.
And bumped
Salty, a
into
little
Bobby
bit,
and Masai after, and I said, now you watch your expenses. You watch those expense reports. We'll see who actually paid for this thing. So, but no, I actually have no doubt that Darko. I remember being on a road trip earlier this year, and we were in Texas, and we were about to go to San Antonio. We were asking just stories about Pop. You know, it was not for writing or anything. And that's one of the first things he brought up was
the
he
dinners.
would make a real point. Like I think he put a number on it. Like it was like, if not hundred, like it might have been hundreds of thousands of dollars Pop would spend on taking the team out for dinners. Yeah. And now the guy makes whatever. But
you don't think he expensed that to Peter Holt though?
No.
Like that,
Maybe.
who knows? You know, and he's writing those giant tips for the servers
Right, of
and
course.
stuff. So I don't think Darko's in that league yet. But
I think Pop makes 12 a year now.
Yeah.
The mid level.
But I mean, I think the point being is it's something that he noticed as a young coach, respects, and
I like that.
I think
good for him.
a lot of the players like it too. Like the fact that he is so invested on the like family side, trying to make it family. They every time they do 1, 2, 3 family right there.
Great. You know what? It's good that we have you here because, as you mentioned earlier, you have some kids who are roughly the same age as the players. So you understand how difficult it is to engage this current generation of like being in the here and now, not split, not like half here, half somewhere else, not distracted, in the moment with the people that you're in the room with. Yeah. And I think that's more than anything else the point of the dinners.
Yeah, no, that's a great observation, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if those dinners are kind of like phones are down or phones, you know, don't bring them, whatever it might be, and and in the end, it always comes back to talent and execution and all that.
No amount of dinners is going to win you necessarily games.
But I think it's you got to put your organization, your team in the best position to reach whatever potential it has. And I think the seasons are very long. And I think also with Darko, he's very committed to his brand of coaching being on a personal level, on a kind of a one-to-one type, building these kind of relationships. They take time, and anytime you're in an environment like a meal or whatever, you have a better chance of kind of building another connection. And so we'll see, you know. But yeah, I think it was a cool thing, and it's kind of crazy it took this long for them to win 3 games. But
who had the most slices in the media room?
Uh, it was fun. I know I had 3.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone had more than 3, but
All right.
Are you a big
I'm always
pizza-
a good bet.
Are
put it
you a
that way.
pizza guy? Like, are you?
I'm an eater guy. Yeah, I just
Me too.
I'm a
Yeah.
volume person.
Me too.
It sucks that practices at the same time as the show, so we could not.
Yeah,
be on
we-
it.
No, the joke of it was we'd already committed at home to have pizza that night, and
Oh, really?
So it was a big pizza day for me. So,
Nice.
yeah.
How? I guess we're about 2 months in to this new iteration of this team. From your perspective, how have you kind of made it up? How do you feel?
Yeah, I like it. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna get too carried away of this is this is the foundation. This
Right.
is where it's going to lead to something big. But what I like is, it seems like a group as constructed that is very willing and bought in to play the way the style their coach envisions.
Mhm.
And we've seen it in a few bits and there's all those the assist numbers
Yeah.
we talk about. There's a little bit of a double edge to that, and why they have so many assists. Well, they don't really have that many guys who can win a one-on-one battle.
Yeah.
So they got to do it that way, and you can see down in the the fourth quarter a little bit of it at Indy, and I thought a little bit in the down in the guts of the game the other night.
Yeah.
It's hard to run position, passing, cutting offense when the defense dials in.
Mhm.
It gets really
For
hard. It's not impossible, but it gets harder. But anyway, all that's to say, I like it. I like the way they play. I think the way the second unit, defensive side has a chance to really I kind of noted this the other day, is on some teams, your second unit is often the best expression of what the coach really wants your team to look like. Because, first unit, you got to cater, right?
Yeah.
Like often, like you got
Yeah.
stars and you got touches and you got this, you got that. Second unit, it's like, put me in, coach.
Right.
So
I'll do
they're
whatever
going to
you
play.
want. Yeah.
And we've seen that in this market a number of times.
Yeah.
And I think, when that second unit is really rolling with Scotty plus bench, and you got Grady and Kelly. I mean, it's a nice brand of basketball to watch.
Yeah, it's the most dynamic we've seen the bench play pretty much since the bench mob. Maybe the year after the championship as well to a degree, but there is clearly that identity and that flow, and I think especially for developmental purposes, Darko system does put the players in positions where they got to do more than one thing.
Yeah.
Very few players on the team only do one thing, and maybe they're not necessarily good at it, but maybe long term when you think about, okay, how do we improve a player who maybe is only good at one or two things, you have to actually put them in some shallow water, maybe the shallow end, not the deep end, to do it. And now I think start of the season when they put Precious in this position to be like, hey, Kelly Olynyk, we would love you to play like Kelly Olynyk. It's like, all right, that looks like a disaster. But you can tell some guys aren't going to be cut out for it. But ultimately, you see Grady, for example. Grady's been mid-season one of the best developmental stories. It's definitely the best one for this year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Mid-season.
It's been. It'd be really interesting to try and find an example, at least within Raptors, franchise history, of a guy who was like a complete 180. Like you can kind of look at his games log and go, up to this point, it was reasonable to go, is this guy going to make it? You're not.
Well,
writing
even in
him
the
off.
G League,
And then he goes to G League and he's maybe even worse, and you're like, okay, was this a miss? Not that you're writing him off, but it was unusually bad.
Yeah.
I guess.
The stat I kept going to was at the same age with the same attempts in the G League, Bruno Caboclo has shot a higher percentage than Grady was.
Sure.
Which is absurd because we all know Grady's a better shooter.
And now he has the third best 3-point shooting percentage of the last month.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's a 17-game sample,
Exactly.
which means nothing.
Right.
But it's very encouraging, and I think very encouraging for the player. I think it's a lot of credibility for the coaching staff. I think in the eyes of management, it's because look, the staff is still getting evaluated, right? They've
of course.
proven nothing in this league, and so if you're not that they're super impatient, but when you see a guy your scouting staff
You wanna
thought
see
so
it.
highly of, and he's cratering, and then to see him turn around like that, that's okay. Well, good. This is encouraging. So it's a very unusual story, I would say, just the 180 element of it, but a very positive one, obviously.
Do you think the vibes have anything to do with that? And I mean, it's hard to gauge vibes, right?
You know how many times we've had Grange on and asked him about vibes?
Really? Is he a vibes
Vibe
guy?
specialist.
Well,
Vibe
it's
specialist.
like,
With the turtleneck and everything, you really do look like a vibe specialist.
No, but I mean, the cloud is sort of gone now, right? There's so much.
What's the line about happiness, right? It's reality minus expectations or something like that. There's some
Sure.
form. Anyway, it's a good line, but I'm butchering it as usual. But yeah, like, I mean, once they made those trades,
Yeah.
everything this season is gravy. You have a vague goal of, well, a very specific goal, but a very minimal chance of actually pursuing the play in.
Optimistic goal.
Yeah, but
right?
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's try and chase this down. But also, if you go through that roster, you know, it's very clear an expectation for development, for opportunity, and it's really an extended. It's almost like your summer program has started now.
Yeah.
And it, like, done right, it could be incredibly valuable, right? Like, because when you look at the story of, like, look at the Warriors tonight, right? And I heard the segment before, which was great, by the way. You know, and you're talking about Kuminga and Podziemski. Well, contrast Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski, sorry. And you know, one guy got minutes right away, and he's everybody's favorite, right? The other two guys, there just wasn't room on those teams.
Yeah.
And so, and Moody's still kind of trying to battle uphill against that. And, you know, it's just the hardest thing to get in this league is reps and minutes. And you have players in this environment who I'm sure are very eager and recognize the opportunity to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still not still
Well,
not.
that makes for good vibes, right?
Yeah, of course. It's
You know?
I think vibes, you know, we talk about the pizza party and, you know, dinners and whatnot. I think that builds certain things, trust being one of them, just relying on someone and being willing to kind of buy into a program. I think the ball movement side of things doesn't happen if guys aren't willing to.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and maybe that was the case pre-trades. You know, some guys saying that, you know, we might want to call our own number a few times if you want to say. I guess this team isn't solidified yet. There's still questions moving forward, off-season wise, what they'll do. I know you had a tweet earlier about Kelly Olynyk,
Right.
potential extension. How soon do you think that might be?
I mean,
how far are we from that?
Yeah, I mean, my information is that they're not very far away, the two, on an agreement, and just CBA wise, you know, if there is going to be an extension, the parameters are pretty limited. It can only be a 2-year extension,
Right.
because he was traded, and it can only be for 5% raises over the 2 years. So based on what he's making now, so
You
like
know
you
what
can
the
do the
number-
math. Okay, it's 2 years, probably 25 million ish,
Right.
give or take 100,000. So. You know, and Kelly, you've got a player who says, I want to be here my whole career. I did run this by Kelly the other day. He's like, he didn't want to get too deep into it, but yeah, I'm open to staying. So, you know, could happen tomorrow, could happen a week tomorrow, could happen anytime. But the key,
There's no deadline on this.
there's no deadline.
Yeah.
The key is, though, the 2-year extension means that he's immediately trade eligible.
Right.
Otherwise, it would be 6 months after they sign the longer extension.
Interesting.
And
Low
all
rate.
that,
Also, his
so-
cap hold would be
Right.
less, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
you
so
know.
the team's incented, and I guess from Kelly's point of view, it would be: is there a 3-year deal out there for me? Is there more than basically the mid-level, which
Right.
is what this deal is? Would be, you know, and
Well, look, man, probably not.
Hard to know. And
Probably not.
you know, and what's the
and if it
value
is,
of?
it's probably less than the 25 or whatever.
And what's the value of being the hometown guy who finished his career in Toronto as a productive player? We've never really seen that.
Yeah.
You know, you want to set yourself up for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea either.
I think, you know, Scotty and Darko both mentioned how important Thad was, but also Thad playing and how, you know, just being on the court with a guy who can kind of talk you through certain things was important. Kelly's an elevated version of that.
Sure.
In the sense that he's still playing out there. He's
Yep.
still conversating. Even day one, there was, you know, communications between him and Scotty on, hey, you got to be here, whatnot. I think that's important for a guy like Scotty and for really everybody else on the team. So
You know who I think it's really important for is Grady.
Right.
You know, Scotty's going to make. Look, he'll figure out.
Yeah.
He's going to be good. He doesn't really need that much help. He does need some, of course. But Grady Dick, like, he's, you know, as we've talked about, like, it's not make or break, but all of a sudden, it's not a coincidence. I think we've seen some of his best basketball playing in a unit alongside a guy like Kelly Olynyk, who
absolutely.
recognizes every touch
Cutting,
available,
yeah.
every kind of pick and pop available.
Right.
And, you know, that's, for that alone, if you can elevate Grady from, you know, a guy who could be part of a rotation to being a guy who could be, like, I'm probably going to talk to tonight on the broadcast just because Klay Thompson's in town. Like, I'm not comparing Grady Dick to one of the
No, of
best
course.
who's ever done it. But, you know, if you were really to kind of break down their games in terms of size, movement skills, you know, of the various strengths that go into their offensive side of the ball, he's a pretty good role model for Grady Dick.
Even the attention he's already getting. Like, you see, those flare screens and whatnot that he's coming off of. You
Guys
see the
respect him,
gravity.
man.
They're respecting
Dude,
the
you,
shot.
you see a white guy running around on the court, you follow him. Doesn't matter what level of basketball this is. I got 2 questions left for you guys real quickly because we got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Where do you think the Emmanuel Quickly extension lands in at?
All I've ever heard from day one was it was going to be Devin Vassell money.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
in the neighborhood of about $30 million.
Okay.
Okay.
And that was.
I'm
you
more
know,
comfortable now, especially when he's scoring 20 a game and it looks more even
Right.
rather than like the up and down.
Yeah.
Um,
You're also sort of extending for what he will. What you're hoping he will.
But I
Sure.
mean, here's another 23 games. Him as a starter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been pretty good as a starter. I think
Mhm.
he'd be more
Sure.
comfortable if he was more like what we've seen the last
couple games.
couple
Yeah.
of games. But yeah, it's going to be a big number, and there's
For
going to
sure.
be teams. He is RFA, but
Yeah.
you know, you don't think Orlando would take a run? You don't
Sure.
think
San
that
Antonio.
would take a run?
Right.
So it's going to be a number.
The other quick question before we just quickly go through tonight's game. Bruce Brown, you reported that there was a first on the table. I mean,
When they
at the trade
at
deadline.
the trade deadline,
Yeah.
yeah, a fake first, like a bad first. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
I mean,
Okay. So
I
one
guess-
of the Knicks first, basically.
yeah. And I think at the time, what it was told to me was, the Raptors wanted some of the Knicks' future firsts,
right. Instead
and
of
versus another first at the back end of the 24 draft. They're like, okay, we got
Because they're
plenty.
already trading out of that with the Ocha and Kelly.
So I
Yes.
think that was the issue. And the Knicks were like, no,
Okay.
we aren't trading any of those because we still want to have our powder dry if we want to go get
Arsenal.
a superstar.